Here's Larry Summers weighing in on what progressives are doing in terms of taxation. And just a stunning... it's just important. The reason why we play this, I mean, because honestly, it's like, why are we giving Larry Summers the time of day? He represents he's sort of like the front line of, I think, like the... Well, I don't want to call it neoliberal because I get annoyed when that word is used.
I think it's one of the most appropriate
I was
uses
going to
of
say
the word
that would
neoliberal.
actually be like a pretty to the T accurate use of that word.
In this instance, he is representing not just a neoliberal, but just really ultimately, the moneyed view on this.
Democrat,
and is going to
Wall Street, Harvard axis.
Exactly. And he is going to couch it in the context of a policy analysis. And here it is.
Of real estate, there's no reason why proper base broadening reforms of the income tax.
Oh, pause it. I'm sorry. Let's go back. Let's go back to the start. He is criticizing the really slamming Warren and Sanders' wealth tax proposal. And here it is.
Other provisions that are in the spirit of carried interest or exchanges of real estate. There's no reason why proper base broadening reforms of the income tax that reduce distortions within the income tax couldn't raise more than $2 trillion, which is over 10 years, which is substantially more than the revenue claims that are held out for the wealth tax. I think for progressives to invest their energy in a proposal that the Supreme Court has better than a 50% chance of declaring unconstitutional, that has very little chance of passing through the Congress, whose revenue potential is extraordinarily in doubt, for that to be the defining element in the progressive agenda in the United States, it seems to me is to potentially sacrifice an immense opportunity.
Oh my God.
Now, is this at which Peterson Institute is it? This is not the Pete Peterson Institute, right? Will you check on that? There's a couple of things to sort of break down here. First off, he's hiding the ball because the idea of a wealth tax is not only to get revenue.
Right.
I mean, he's suggesting you can do it much more efficiently through the income tax. Now, Warren and Sanders and people who support a wealth tax would have to be total idiots to think that you can't just raise that money through raising the income tax. The idea is that having people with that amount of wealth in society distorts our democracy. It distorts our politics. It creates instability in society. And the idea of a wealth tax is not just to raise money. It is to diminish the amount of money that is held in literally the hands of the number of people who could fit in a quarter of the conference hall I'm in right now. Not even a quarter. I mean, 200 or 300 people we're talking about. Maybe less even. And the idea that it can't pass through Congress. If it can't pass through Congress, then it doesn't pass through Congress. And the idea that there isn't a host of policies that are being talked about now that the Supreme Court isn't possibly going to strike down. We don't know that Medicare for all, or the public option for that matter, would be unchallenged by the Supreme Court? We have no idea. And then he makes this sort of straw man about it being like the central position. I mean, from a tax perspective, it might be, because you have both Warren and Sanders. That is like the most prominent tax they're talking about. But
Sanders talks about his Wall Street transaction tax a lot too. I mean, I don't even necessarily, and they both talk. In fact, all of the Democrats talk about repealing, the Trump top-end cuts. I just want to add, too, I mean, to the extent, and I think it's important to balance all of the variables from, the white identity politics of the Republican Party, but also this model that has produced such disastrous outcomes for many people across the country. Larry Summers is like the embodiment of it. I mean, he is at every single decision-making point of bad policy that Democratic administrations have done from the perspective of people who work in this country. He's also personally worked at DeShaw on Wall Street, big hedge, and I believe it was DeShaw. I think he worked there. And also, this is tangential, but I really would welcome that everybody should look up Larry Summers, World Bank, case for toxic dumping in the third world. And remember that he's angling for a job. He's angling for a job, too. Like, this isn't even like, those days are behind me and I'm just going to give you the straight dope. He knows that he's not getting a job in Sanders or Warren administration. In Warren's case, for very personal reasons. So this is very self-interested, even beyond being
He's been going out slamming Warren. I mean, Warren kept him from becoming the chairman of the Fed.
Yep.
Almost single-handedly prevented him from becoming chairman of the Fed. And that was a job, apparently, that he coveted like no other.
And I think he still does. And I notice, Ryan Grimm pointing this out, that when news outlets are saying, just giving you the, Summers says plan is unrealistic. And at the very least, you got to cover. I mean, I have, there is a huge personal dimension with Warren,
All right, let's play.